There is a comment that shows up on almost every video we make, and last month it finally arrived in all capital letters. You were right. The person wrote that there is no possible way, none, that a regular human being with a regular budget could ever own an entire mountain in America. Not a mountain view, not a lot on the side of a mountain, the whole thing. The summit, the slopes, the trees, the name printed on the map. You are right to be skeptical because most of what gets sold as mountain property is a small notch carved out of somebody else's hill. But there is a stranger corner of the real estate world where the deed does not stop at a property line halfway up the slope. It keeps climbing all the way to the top, and then it comes back down the other side. And in a few forgotten pockets of this country, that entire experience still costs less than a 2-bedroom condominium in a city you would not want to live in anyway. Every week we find the strangest properties in America. The ones at the edge of the map, the ones nobody knows are for sale, and we show you exactly how to get them. If that's the kind of dream you've been quietly carrying around, hit subscribe. Now, here is the part that surprises people. The place where owning your own mountain is not a fantasy is not out west, where the famous peaks live behind gates and 8-figure price tags. It is in the older, softer, greener mountains of the east. The Appalachians have been settled and resettled and subdivided for more than 200 years. And somewhere in all of that history, individual families ended up holding entire named summits. When those families finally sell, the listing does not always announce the word mountain in the headline. Sometimes it just says 140 acres, wooded, private, end of the road. You have to know how to read it. So, let us walk through 5 of them, and let us start where this actually works best. West Virginia is the quiet capital of the private mountain. The whole state is folded like a blanket that somebody kicked in their sleep, and land here is still shockingly affordable by the standards of anywhere with a coastline. Near the town of Fayetteville, on the rim of the New River Gorge, there is a rise that local people have called Church Mountain for longer than anyone can remember. It came up for sale as one enormous continuous tract with its own entrance off the highway and its own network of trails threading all the way up to the top. That particular parcel was large and priced accordingly, but it teaches you the pattern. In West Virginia, a named mountain can belong to a single deed and smaller versions of that same idea. 40 and 80 and 120 acre knobs with a cabin already sitting on the high ground trade hands regularly for well under $500,000. I want to describe one of those to you because it is the cleanest example of the dream we are talking about. Picture a custom log home built on top of South Branch Mountain, sitting at 3,000 feet on 20 acres that climb all the way to the summit. From the porch, there is nothing. No neighbor, no road noise, no light at night, except the little towns glowing faintly in the valleys far below. The listing called it the full mountaintop experience, and for once the marketing was telling the truth. You are not buying a house near a mountain. You are buying the top of one. Homes like that appear and disappear on the West Virginia market throughout the year, and the price almost never crosses the line we drew for this video. Now, let us drive north, because Vermont plays the very same game with a different accent. Vermont is small, and the land is expensive by Appalachian standards, but the state is stitched together from long green ridges, and the cabins that sit on those ridges regularly come with enough acreage to swallow a whole hillside. The typical cabin with land in Vermont right now sits right around $500,000. which puts the honest, wooded, ridgetop version squarely within reach if you are patient. What you are buying in Vermont is rarely the single dramatic peak from a postcard. It is something quieter than that. A high shoulder of the Green Mountains, a couple dozen acres of sugar maple and birch, a modest cabin with a wood stove, and a view that runs across 3 states on a clear day. You will not find the word summit in the headline. You will find the word private, and then you will pull up the parcel map and realize the property line runs directly over the top of the rise. For our 4th and 5th mountains, we need to have an honest conversation about Western North Carolina, because this is where a lot of you are going to start your search, and this is also where the fantasy gets expensive fast. You were right about this one too, if you already suspected it. The famous North Carolina high country, the Boone and Blowing Rock and Asheville corridor, has been discovered so thoroughly that even a small 1-bedroom cabin now begins around $350,000, and a genuine whole peak with a finished home on it runs well past $1 million. So here is the honest move, the one that nobody in a glossy listing is going to tell you. Do not chase the named summit in the tourist counties. Go 1 or 2 counties over into the parts of Western North Carolina that the crowds drive straight past and buy the shoulder instead of the peak, or buy the smaller unnamed knob that no realtor has ever bothered to brand. The mountain is every bit as much yours. It simply does not have a gift shop sitting at the bottom of it. And that brings me to the part of this that actually changes your odds, because finding these is only half of the work. The other half is a trick we come back to again and again on this channel, and it goes like this. Sold does not mean gone. Every one of these mountains that quietly sold last year did not vanish into thin air. It simply moved from one name to another, and that new name is sitting right now on a public county tax record, waiting for anyone patient enough to go and look. If there is a specific mountain you have already fallen for, one that slipped off the market before you were ready, you are not out of luck at all. You go to the county where it physically sits, you pull the parcel, you find the actual human being whose name is now on the deed, and then you write them the one letter that nobody else in the entire world thinks to send, the letter that says, I know this is not for sale, but if it ever is, please call me first. People sell mountains they were never planning to sell to the one stranger who asked kindly and asked early. Here is exactly how I would set up the hunt if I were starting from scratch today, because the good ones truly do not wait around for you. Go to LandSearch, which is the portal we lean on for this more than any other, and open the mountain category for the state that you want. Make yourself a free account because you cannot save a search without one. Set your filters carefully, draw your price ceiling, add your acreage floor, because the whole mountain trick lives inside the large acreage listings, not the small ones. Then, and this is the single most important step in the entire process, save that search and switch the alerts to instant, not weekly, not daily, instant. A whole name mountain under $500,000 is the kind of listing that appears on a Tuesday morning and is under contract by Thursday afternoon. And the only people who ever catch those are the ones whose phones buzz the moment it goes live. Everyone else reads about it a month later, down in a comment section, insisting there is no way that could possibly have been real. So this is the part where I actually want to hear from you. Out of all of these, the West Virginia log home standing alone on its own private summit, the quiet Vermont ridge with the view that crosses 3 states, or the unbranded North Carolina knob that no realtor ever bothered to name? Which one of them becomes yours? And when you are finally standing up there at the top, on the very first morning you own the whole thing, ground to sky, what is the first thing you build up there in the place where nobody alive can tell you no?